This is the Entrepreneurship Speaker Series, sponsored by Axomo. We got quite a few extra people here. I know the fire marshal wouldn't say this, but you can sit on the stairs here if you don't want to stand. But
wow.
Thank you for being here. Our speaker today, as most of you know, is Matt Wetzel. Matt, rather than going to college, like you suckers, he went directly into roofing. And he started roofing and then started his own roofing company, and he did that for 12 years. In 2009, he decided to start towing, and he quickly found a market for both on-road and off-road recoveries. In 2019, Matt started a YouTube channel called Matt's Off-Road Recovery, which features Matt and his team recovering vehicles that have found themselves in very precarious situations. That YouTube channel, as you can see over here, has 1.66 million subscribers. So Matt also builds the vehicles that he uses for recovery, and he has a special affinity for Corvairs. Matt is accompanied today with his wife Jaymie, and they've raised 4 children. They're both from Southern Utah, and we are very glad he agreed to speak to us today. Please welcome Matt Wetzel.
All right, so thank you for that introduction, and thank you guys all for coming. I do have things to say, and hopefully that it's something that'll be of benefit for you today, or at least entertain you. So I'm going to be talking about how I got my own reserved parking spot today. I'm going to start with a little bit of background of where I came from. So I feel like I came from a unique background and had a unique journey to get here. But I also realize that all of you come from unique backgrounds and you have unique paths that have got you here. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about mine. So my grandfather was blind, and they lived in abject poverty. My father was raised in that, and I was also raised in that. And I didn't know that it was always our family versus the rich people, and I would have categorized all of you guys as rich people when I was in grade school. And I in my high school years, still living in poverty, working really hard. My father worked really hard, but didn't have a mechanism for capitalizing on the value of his work. He didn't know how to do that. I, as a suggestion from one of my friends, I was actually living in Henryville. That's up by Bryce Canyon at the time. I finished high school out there. And he said, "Why didn't you get a job?" And I said, "'Cause I work on the farm." And he's like, "How much money do you make?" I said, "Nothing." He's like, "Do you want new shoes?" And I'm looking down, I'm like, "Yes." And he's like, "Would you like a coat?" "Yes." And he says, "Come down, we're gonna go work at Doug's." Doug's was a grocery store, hardware store, motel, and restaurant. So I went in there and I said, "Do you have a job for me?" And he says, "Yeah, we're tearing this insulation out." So I started tearing the insulation out. About 10 o'clock that night, Doug says, "Are you going home tonight?" And I said, "Well, is the work done?" And he says, "Well, we can come back and finish it tomorrow after school." So I didn't know anything. I didn't talk to him about what my wages were or nothing. He started me at minimum wage. I got a paycheck. My take home was like $125, and it blew my mind. That was, I could trade my labor, and I could buy a brand new pair of shoes with a week's worth of work, and blew my mind. I worked there. I won't get into the details. It was a good opportunity, good starting point for me. But I didn't have any information about what to do with the money that I was doing. So I, like all teenagers, I didn't have anything to show for it. When I got my next job, same thing. At the end of the year, I didn't have anything to show for it. I ended up meeting. I went on an LDS mission, and I met somebody on there that has actually been on my channel. We call him Johnny Boy. and the Buckmaster, if you guys have seen him on there. And he was asking me what I was going to do when I got back. And I'm like, I don't know. And he says, what are you going to do for a living? I don't know. He's like, how's your credit? And I'm like, what's credit? And we were walking, and he turned around, and we went straight to a bank, and he co-signed on a card. And we went back to the apartment, and he just set me out a list of things. He's like, this is how I want you to use it. This is what I want you to do. When you get to this point, this is what I want you to do. And that started me on my journey of, I can change like that. I was old enough at that point to realize, to put enough pieces together, I could change who I was in a financial way. And I started, I followed that path, and I came back. I started working for a roofing company. I've always been very independent. When I started working for Stout Roofing, I treated that job like I was the owner of the job that I had. My job was to please the contractor and please the homeowner, and it got to the point where I wasn't really involved with the company. I was just ordering and loading and doing the jobs. I was highly motivated to do that. And it worked out really well for me because that company got absorbed by a bigger company. I didn't like the way it was. I was able to step out of that. I just stepped out of it. I got a partner, and I learned something about this. There's a really valuable lesson. You can have two really good people that are good friends and put them in business, and it doesn't work well. And the problem that I had with my partner is we had the same skill set. So we were doing the same thing and sharing, like one of us could have handled what we were doing. So wasn't because he was a bad partner, wasn't because I was a bad partner, it was just a bad setup. That was a learning experience for me. I ended up selling my share. I just found out, because Jaymie remembers, for almost nothing. I'm like, you want to give me 25 grand? I'll walk away. Is that what it was? Yeah. So I walked away from an incredibly profitable roofing business after 2 years. I just said, I want to do something else. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. Now, my formal schooling is high school. I graduated from Bryce Valley High School in 1994. I worked various jobs like during and after that time. But roofing was my career. I'd been roofing for 10 years as an employee, and then 2 years as the owner, or half owner partnership. One day I was standing up on a roof and looking over it, and I was in Grand Junction, Colorado, and I kind of asked myself, do I want to do this the rest of my life? And I couldn't think of any good reason to keep doing it. I didn't enjoy it. I wasn't being fulfilled the way the market was. We were doing plenty of work, but we were like the 07, 08 housing bubble thing was going on. So all our jobs were out of the state. I had this growing family. I am wired to take risks, and I know everybody's not wired that way. I do believe that you have to be willing to take risks if you're going to be an entrepreneur, because that's what it is. Most people that would analyze my life would say that I'm too far on the spectrum over here, where I'm like, okay, this is a really high quality risk here. There's good reward, not too much risk. What's over here? Could that wreck my life? But maybe like make $1 million? That's very interesting to me. And I live that way. And even back when I was roofing, people would ask me, like my mother-in-law, like, don't you want more security? Because the money would come in, and then sometimes the money wouldn't come in. And I'm like, well, I just wake up every day and I think to myself, I might make $1 million today. And like literally, like that's how I live my life. I wish Jaymie would come up here and witness for me, because it was hard on her. It was hard on her for me to be this seemingly reckless, but I woke up every day and I hit it. I did sell the company without a plan. I sold my roof company without a plan. And we were at like a big family Sunday afternoon, friends and family talking, and everybody was concerned for my well-being and for my children and for my mortgage and everything. And one of them said, you should get into towing because I got my car impounded and it cost me $200. And the guy that did impound it is selling his company. And I'm like, okay. So I called him Monday. Thursday we had a deal. And the next week I owned the assets of a towing company. Made a huge mistake. No, I'm not good at what I do, but I don't give up. And I had a unique way of looking at this. I sold my roofing company for probably 1/10 of what the value was. And then I bought the assets of a towing company for probably 3 times what it was worth. I didn't even get the company, I just got the assets. And it didn't even own any property. And then when I realized what terrible deals I just made, I started thinking, well, how expensive is college? Did I learn anything from this? And that's how I will view things. When I get knocked around with something, I'm like, how much did that cost me? Oh man, that cost me $50,000. How much did I get $50,000 worth of knowledge out of this? Is there something can I course correct so that thing never happens again? And that's what I tried to do with everything that I was doing. We were struggling through the towing. It was rolling money. We were meeting our bills, but we were watching our savings just slowly get shaved off. And I realized that I've got to do something. Every day I'm working on this problem, and this whole time I'm doing these jobs. So I started getting these jobs coming in. The towing company tells the guy I bought the company from, and every tow guy I know in the industry says, don't do off-road recovery. It ruins your trucks. You can't make any money off of it. And let me tell you how bad it was. We would do a job where somebody would drive down to the lake at Sand Hollow, college kids, and they're in a $2,000 car, and they pooled their money to get the day pass to get into Sand Hollow. And then they call me, and I show up with a twin line wrecker and 4 guys. Why? Because I can't drive out there on the sand. I can pull 150 foot of cable out, then I can pull another 100 foot of cable extension and another 100 foot. Now think about doing this in 110 degree weather. I'm cycling 4 people through this process, and they are all dying of heat exhaustion within 15 minutes. We finally get out there, hook to the car, repeat the process. Pull it in, 100 feet, pull this cable out, roll that one back up, put it on the truck, pull in 100 feet, and do that. So a 100 foot roll of 3/8 cable is not light. Walking through the sand with nothing to encumber you is a challenge. And then when I'm done adding it all up, and I'm like, $2,500. I've totaled this car with my bill. It wasn't right. So then what do I do? Okay, I'm going to discount it to where I don't feel like I'm a criminal, whatever, ambushing these poor kids. And so I'm like, okay, it'll be $400. They're still devastated. I'm upside down, and my truck is full of sand. Like the winches are all full of sand and needs a bunch of maintenance on it. It wasn't working. Didn't work. I went home, clean slate. We can't make on-road tow trucks off-road capable. It doesn't work. Clean slate. Talking to friends. I had friends in search and rescue. I had friends in the off-roading community. I'm like, what would you do? What do you guys use? Oh, we use Jeep Cherokees or other light, simple, inexpensive vehicles. Bought a Jeep Cherokee. Started using it for off-road recovery. Found kinetic ropes, found those stretchy ropes, and learned how to use them and how valuable they could be. Meanwhile, I've got friends with boring jobs. I've got an airline pilot, I've got a nuclear engineer, I've got a computer programmer, and I get a phone call every day just about from every single one of them. What cool thing happened today? Oh, there was this guy, you wouldn't believe it. He drove into the river. I don't know why he did it. We pulled him out with a Jeep Cherokee, and they'd be like, did you get pictures? No, I didn't get any pictures. Okay, start getting pictures. I am extremely illiterate technologically, and So I would have to, but iPhone, what was awesome, one thing that was working for me, and when you're an entrepreneur, you also need to be an opportunist. iPhones are getting better and better and better and better, or Androids or whatever. The camera systems, recording systems are getting better and better and better. So something that wouldn't have worked for me in the 90s works for me very, very well now. I can take high quality photos and videos, and I can show my friends that I'm not lying. I really did pull a fifth wheel out with a Jeep Cherokee. And then all of the things come in, and it came in from everywhere. When people say, "What made you decide to start your YouTube channel?" There's not one point, and there's not one person. It was lots of people, like ranging from put it on YouTube so we can see it. That's a free platform that everybody can get it, and other people are like, put it on YouTube and you can quit your job. And so none of it was real to me because I hadn't had any schooling or any interest in, filming or any of that kind of stuff, videography, none of it. So it was a long time coming. I would say from the time the seed was planted to do YouTube till I finally pulled the trigger was probably about 2 years. During that time, I was doing a lot of research, especially towards the end, and this was the thing. I wanted it, and I didn't know how to do it. And with the internet and YouTube, there's YouTube videos on how to do YouTube. And so I would literally watch those, and I would look, like, hey, this YouTube channel makes birdhouses, and they're really incredible birdhouses, and it doesn't get very many views. This guy builds worse birdhouses, and he's getting 1 million views per video. What is the difference? What is this guy doing that this guy is not doing? And diving really deep into that with the capacity I had to understand it, I noticed that the people that were doing well, there's things that they were doing. They were greeting their audience. So when you clicked on the video, you're like, oh, this is a friendly guy who seems to care about me. And that was like this, okay, if we're gonna do this, it's an incredible amount of work to get footage. Any of you that have tried to film anything you're doing, you know that. It changes the whole dynamic of the job. And so I can gather footage poorly or well for about the same amount of work. Editing a video, you can put a lot of energy into editing a video, but even if it's a bad video, you've got to put some effort into it. Then uploading it and running your channel. So you can run a bad channel or a good channel, and they're really similar amount of work. The big thing is understanding what the audience wants and make sure that you're filming what the audience is going to watch. Make sure that they're going to be engaging in what you're doing. And when somebody asks me, like, what's a good idea for a YouTube channel? I said, whatever you're passionate about. Like, it doesn't matter. There's successful YouTube channels in every single genre. And some of them are really crazy. Entertainment is obviously the big one. There's a couple things about entertainment. I've read a lot about it. You hear people talk about it. The entertainment business and the mob kind of connected. And the reason that is because I work for the mob. I work for my audience. And I can't present them something they're not going to watch. I have no way to keep them there but entertain them. I'm a court jester in medieval times. Off with my head if it's not entertaining. And so I was learning all of this. I knew that I had to do it. I got a bunch of videos together, and I dropped them all one day, and I made a couple of mistakes. Here's the thing that you'll find out throughout your life. If you're always doing something to try to better your situation, you're going to accidentally do things that help you. That you're like, whoa, how did that help me so much? One of my accidental things, you never do this. You never cross collaborate between Facebook and YouTube. Because they're owned by different things, and it messes with the algorithm, and it actually hurts you. You don't go on your Facebook and say, go to my YouTube channel, because the Facebook algorithm will say every time somebody looks at this link, they get off the platform. And so they're going to quit showing that link to people. Same with YouTube. If you kick them off of YouTube to your Facebook, exactly the same. You're not supposed to do this, but I did something. I made a Facebook page for my towing, for winter towing, and I did it as a person instead of a business. And when we converted it, and we got a lot of followers because we were showing this off-road content. This was pre-YouTube. When I started my YouTube channel, I was trying to fix my social media, and there was things that weren't working because winter towing was a person. And so I got some help and got it converted to a business, and it instantly converted every single follower to a like on my Facebook page. And we had the trending Facebook page for like 2 days in the world, and it was a towing company in southern Utah. Well, and then I did that thing. I started a YouTube channel, and I killed my Facebook, and everybody came over to the YouTube channel. And so I'd grown an audience that cared about what I was doing before it did it. So that was an accident. I would love to say that I was smart enough to do that, but I wasn't. My first YouTube video got 10,000 views, which, if you're familiar with YouTube, you might be YouTubing for 10 years before you get a video with that many views. Stupid mistake. But I was trying. I was working on it, and it just fell in. Like I said, if you do 1,000 things, one of them might work. So now I've got this YouTube channel, and it's gaining traction, and some of my videos are performing pretty good. I even got a viral video. We got a video with 1 million views, and it was filmed on an iPhone. The entire channel's ran on an iPhone. I don't do desktop. I don't speak mouse. I'm actually not very good at an iPhone, but I can do some things. I was filming, and I was editing, and I was uploading off of my iPhone. I actually had some help. My first 14 videos, I had a friend edit for me, but I realized pretty quickly that I wanted more creative control. I wanted to be in control of what message, like what the story was, and so I taught myself. I downloaded like a $25 version of LumaFusion, and I started editing on my iPhone. A lot of people that are in editing are like, "You did what on your iPhone?" Like, I could see an iPad. I'm like, no, I edited all these videos on my iPhone. And so I noticed some of the videos are getting views, some of them aren't. And I had some information that there's a Daryl Eves that's a YouTube guru, and he lives in Hurricane, and I called him up, got his phone number, and it was kind of like, "How did you get this number?" And I'm like, "Hey, do you do consulting? I need some help with my YouTube channel." And he says, "No, we don't do that. We don't do the one-on-one, but I have an online course. It's $5,000. You should join." And I'm like, "What?" I've been pouring money into my YouTube channel. What were we were 20 grand into the YouTube channel, and we were making nothing. And I'm like, I'm not gonna dump another 5 grand into this. I didn't know what I was gonna do. Like we were capsizing, and I didn't know how to fix it. But just before I hung up, I hear him say, "What's the name of your channel? If I get a minute, I'll look at it." And I'm like, "Oh, Matt's Off-Road Recovery." I hung up, and I'm just sitting there all depressed and dejected, because I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna have to go do more research to figure out how to save this. Got a text back from about 20 minutes later. It says, "We need to go to dinner." And I met with him, and we talked about what he was good at and what I was good at, and I ended up partnering with him with his company Precarious. And at that point, and I did. He says, "Are you in?" I said, "Yeah, I'm in." He's like, "Prove it. Buy my course." I'm like, all right. So I bought it. Halfway through the course, the channel 4x'd, because I understood something. I understood. I had a lot of pieces, but I wasn't organizing them quite correctly, and I would get hung up on things that were important to me and not important to the person. The thing about entertainment, and that is the industry I'm in now. I'm in the entertainment industry. I am asking people for their most valuable commodity, which is their time. I'm saying, give me 25 minutes of your time, and I will entertain you. And when you're done, you will feel like you got a good deal. That's the offer that I'm offering. And So if I'm making videos that entertain me, I'm not taking care of the buying audience. I'm not taking care of what they want and what they need. And I had to learn that. And when I first handed the editing over, so I have this editor I've never met. I hand him my footage, and he gets the video back, and I hate it. I'm like, no. And Daryl says, can we test it? I said, yeah, but if this bombs, I'm taking it off, and we're gonna edit this video right. And okay, I hate it. I still kind of hate that edit. And that video went. So I was getting about 50% retention on my videos after about a week. That video after 2 weeks was at 82% retention, and I doubled my subscribers off of one video. So I don't even know what to say except for getting the right ideas from the right people. If you're an entrepreneur and you come up with your ideas, you got to surround yourself with idea people too, and you've got to be able to trust that. That's one of the risks right there. I've been talking a lot about risk management with my team, and I mean not risk management, risk taking, risk versus reward. I guess that's risk management, but just partnering with somebody, just being on a team is a risk. You have to be willing to put yourself out there. That's another thing with YouTube. There's lots about YouTube. I could talk about YouTube all day. You have to open up yourself. You have to be vulnerable. If you pretend to your audience that you're perfect and that you don't make mistakes and that you are the authority in this particular subject and it all ends with you, they will peg you as a fraud because they know that. Everybody's vulnerable. Everybody is vulnerable. And that's one of the things that I've learned in YouTube. Because at first I'm like, I don't want to show this. It makes me look vulnerable. And when they did that edit, I didn't like the way I looked in it. And that was one of the changes. But there's pacing, there's rhythm, all that stuff. So anyway, fast forward, we started picking up subscribers. We started the branding. I mean, I don't know what you want to talk about. I don't know if we should go to question and answers because I don't know what direction you guys want to go with this. Yes.
Question. Monetizing. How long did it take you to be able to monetize your channel, and how much?
I don't remember the rules on monetizing. It's something like if after you get 1,000 views and. Is it 1,000 subscribers? 1,000 subscribers and X amount of views. Yeah. We burned through that in like the first day. Like it was monetized. I actually didn't monetize it though because I was stupid. And I'm like, I'm going to build a huge audience, and they won't have to watch any ads, and I'll put ads on later. And then YouTube's like, you're not making me any money. I'm not going to show your videos. Oh. So it was pretty quick. You hear about YouTube money and you hear about like the potential, and the potential is definitely there, but it's no different than any other business. You can run another business really successfully. You can run it well and it can make a lot of money, or you can run it poorly and make a lot of money, or make a little bit of money. YouTube's the same way. You can run it well and you can make a lot of money. You can run it poorly and not make much. YouTube also has a unique thing, and you guys should all be aware of this just watching TV. Nobody watches. It is very rare to have 10 seasons of a good show, and YouTube's no different. There's going to be an arc. You're going to rise. You're going to hang up there as long as you can, but you will come down. And so we're spending a lot of time diversifying like what we are. We want to be able to function. If YouTube for some reason didn't exist, we've got a mechanism in place where we can still put our videos out. We developed our own app for that, where we own the app. It's nobody else runs it. That's just one of the things. I mean, there's obviously merchandise. There's branding, brand deals, and working with sponsors and stuff. You kind of want to strike when the iron's hot if you're doing YouTube stuff like that. Yeah. What time is it? 12 o'clock. Well, let's just start doing questions. Yeah.
How long were you on Facebook and that social media stuff until you jumped over to YouTube?
So I started the Facebook shortly after, was it after we bought Winder Towing? So 2014 is when I started the Facebook. And yeah, and it was a learning experience because of course I was doing it wrong. I did it as a person because I didn't know. What do I know? And I'd show a picture of, you know, a Nissan Sentra with a bad alternator in Lynn's parking lot. And like 7 people like, I'll give you a thumbs up. And then it's like, you know, fifth wheel buried to the top of the tires in Sand Hollow Reservoir, you know, with a Dodge Cummins. And it's like 40,000 impressions on this picture. Like it got shared 2,000 times. And that was because when somebody's like, you should do YouTube, people watch this. I'm like, no, nobody's going to watch it. Then I'm like, oh, maybe they will. So that's, yes.
I just wonder, which one do you think was your most successful video, and why do you think it resonated with the audience so much?
So there's lots of different ways to measure that, and it'll pull up different videos. So my most viewed video is, it was a truck up on Boulder Mountain. It got left over there over the winter. We went and got it out. I think it's getting close to 8 million views. You can look at that as a successful one, but as the videos age, the retention really, really drops, and they're not pulling in subscribers. So I might have a video that really resonates with a group of people that are going to stick around. So I might have a video that only gets like 2 million views, but I'll get more subscribers that stick around and watch the rest of my videos. So I would say that's a more successful video. But in a nutshell, the most successful videos are the ones where the people that are watching feel like they're hanging out with me and the crew, and that they're just being entertained. So yeah, they just feel some value for it. Yes.
Kind of piggybacking off of her question, would you say it's better to build an audience outside of YouTube and then start a YouTube, or?
That's a tough question because everything I've learned since then, I just keep them completely separate. I would say it's a way to do it, but here's the thing. If you have something that will attract people, you might as well start it on the thing that's going to pay you for it. And the YouTube, people don't understand this. Let me give you a little to that point. So let's say you start a YouTube channel, it's not getting any traction. You whatever you do, and I don't know, you swim with dolphins, and you go to your Facebook page, and you know, whatever, you got 2,000 friends or 4,000 friends on there, and you're like, go to my YouTube page. Well, the friends that are gonna engage on that probably already know you have a YouTube channel, and they're probably either already watching it or they're not watching it. But they do want to support you. So they'll click on the link and they'll push like, and then they won't watch it. And the algorithm's like, this is a stinker of a video. So let's say best case scenario, let's say that you get half of your friends to go watch that video. So let's say you get 2,000 views coming from, it's never ever gonna happen, but let's just say you do, get 2,000 views. The algorithm is showing your video to millions of people a day that are most likely to watch it. So whatever little promotion things you do across your platforms, whatever they may be, social medias, the algorithm is working 1,000,000 times harder than you are to get that video to people. And if you wonder about it, click on something that's the most boring subject you can ever think of, like my family vacation, and you won't have to scroll through very many of them till you find somebody with a video that's got 1,000,000 views. They'll have 7,000 views, 700 views, and then one all of a sudden got 1.2 million views because it had a good title, had a good thumbnail, and for some reason they did something different, and the algorithm found that video and showed it to the people most likely to watch it. And you're not going to find 1,000,000 people that are likely to watch your video, but the algorithm will, and it's very efficient at it right now. Yes.
How big was your YouTube channel when you were making the same amount from it as you were your like actual towing business?
So there's several revenue streams from the YouTube channel. So you've got the YouTube AdSense. We did something unique. So we've done something very unique with this, and I'll tell you something that I did naturally, because this pertains to it. I did something naturally that ended up being a strategy. Jay Leno. Jay Leno was talking to one of my friends, and he says, "You shouldn't cuss so much in your entertainment." And he's like, "Why not? I want to." And he's like, "That's fine if you want to, but isn't it better to earn more money?" And he's like, "Well, what does that mean?" YouTube's the same way. The clean channels have way higher ad revenue than the ones, even if you use a beep to beep the language out, the advertisers seem to count it as the same thing. So the ceiling for entertainment was this CPU, X amount. YouTube bumped it up for us. We are now in the financial, the bottom tier of financial AdSense revenue, like CPM. And that's important to me. But it ended up being a strategy. We started selling merchandise fairly early on. How do I answer that question? When did it start? When did I start thinking about quitting winter towing? Way earlier than Jaymie wanted to.
It was a couple of years in.
Yeah. But when did it tip though? It wasn't very long. We were mismanaging, because merchandise is hard, right? Shirts, the most common merchandise is shirts and hats. But shirts is like 17 SKUs because there's different sizes. And if you have 2 shirts and then you've got to manage all this, we did mismanage that in the beginning. We needed to get because we were trying to do make the shirts, haul them to our house, fulfill it. I would say if you have good advice and you've got a good channel, let's say you're getting 250,000 views per video and climbing, you can easily make that your primary income if you run it right. So, and there's different, and it depends on what you're in. If you're in gaming, that's not enough. If you're in gaming, you need 2 million views per video to make that your primary. If you're in financial, you could be making a living off of YouTube with 40,000 views per video. So it just depends. But for us, I think we were making like, oh wow, this is a real business when we were somewhere around 200,000 to 250,000 views per video. And that's consistent. That's 3 videos a week too. Yeah.
So now that you're more like in an entertainment business than the off-road business, would you say you take jobs like based on how entertaining they are?
We still try to take care of everybody in our area. The big jobs where we go out further, they've got to be worth it. Like, I don't want to drive 5 hours for a 10-minute job. There's people that can handle that. But if it's a big job, that's what we'll do. We'll look at it. We do have relationships with the off-road volunteer there's communities in that. So we try to play nice with them because there is some territorial stuff there. But but we've been on jobs where they've gone and looked at it and said, we can't do this, and they've called us in to come do it. So we just try to play nice with people and help, and then make entertaining videos. And we're a fabrication shop. So we're a fabrication shop, off-road recovery business, and an entertainment business, and they are so intertwined that one can't live without the other, and takes some management to do. Any other questions? Yes.
Have you found like a day or time that works best to push your video?
Yes. So YouTube gives you an enormous amount of data. Like you could basically go through all of it and then go through all of it again because it's changing all the time. But basically you just need to know when your audience is on and when they're most likely to engage. And YouTube gives you those tools. So we found out, we drop strategically, we drop 7:15 a.m. and we drop on Wednesday morning, Friday morning, and Sunday morning. And we put our worst videos on Wednesday and our better videos on Friday, and our best videos on Sunday. If we have anything to say, that's how we try to drop them. So, yes.
So, having achieved a certain level of fame, I'm wondering what it's like. And I don't know what your hometown is, but do you feel like a movie star?
Sometimes. So we have 100+ people stop by this shop every day. So we've had to put up fences and gates, and they have to understand some rules. We like them to come back and take the tour. We basically tell them, if you see Matt or any of the cast in the yard, don't yell at them or walk over there or try to get a picture. They're busy, they're working. If they want to engage you, they will. And if I walk out and I'm like, hey, how you doing? I'll at least acknowledge, because I would love to talk to everybody, but I can't. So that's, and in Hurricane, I'd say Hurricane's probably the least, like in the town we're in, is probably the least bothered we get. But if we drive through New Mexico, we get mobbed the entire way. Like I've had about 12 freeway conversations in my life, and 11 of them were in New Mexico on one trip. So, but we get airline pilots recognize us a lot. There's certain demographics. If I dress like this and somebody comes up to me, there's no way I can be like, oh, please. But if I'm dressed in my street clothes and we're doing something, like if I'm sitting in a restaurant and you come over and want to talk to me for 20 minutes, it can be frustrating. And I'm not saying that. That probably makes me sound like a donkey, but it does. For the most part, I enjoy it. And there's one thing I do enjoy, and I want to make this clear too. I do like my viewers. I do like interacting with them. I do feel a sense of some connection that we have with them. And when we go to the shows and the meet and greets, I will stand there for 10 hours and meet people. I won't take a break. I'll have somebody bring me my lunch. And I really genuinely like meeting them and just interacting with them face to face. So we do try to portray a certain amount of friendly, whatever, just that connection. We want to portray it, and you can edit and communicate with the camera in ways that enhance that, but it is genuine. It's a real thing that I feel as a creator that I couldn't be doing this without them. So I feel like I'm in a partnership in a way with them. So, yeah. Yes?
Do you look at the comments that people make on your videos, and how do you handle negative comments?
Okay, there's two kinds of comments you absolutely have to ignore. Always ignore the negative comments, but not always, and I'll tell you that in a second. The second thing is always ignore the positive comments, and when I mean positive, I mean the really good ones, like, you're too good for this, you should start your own channel, or Matt's the greatest, or whatever. Ignore those. Those are super damaging. They're very hard on, especially the younger cast members, because they have this fame all of a sudden, and people are adoring them in these comments, but not really. It's not. So we've learned this through it, that people will say they have a favorite character or whatever, but if that character goes away, they don't stop watching. And you just got to be really careful about the comments. Now, when I said not always ignore, so there's comments that are common that are just static, like you're the worst off-road recovery guy I've ever seen. Okay, great. That do whatever. But if you have one that says the audio levels are horrible on this video, you're like, oh, we have a consensus. We have 50 people that say this is the worst audio they've ever heard, and then we look at it and we correct it. So if there's something that comes up in the video where if somebody says, like if I get a whole bunch of people that are like, I'm going to unsubscribe, or I hate this is not what you guys normally put out, or whatever, I wait till the data comes in and says, are they? And so I'll match those. If I have anomaly comments that look like we need to make a decision, I will never make a decision until we have the data and say, are we going to do this? So yeah, and I would advise the comment. I look at the if you get, because I've got about 24 people that follow me around everywhere and just hate on me, and I'm like, they're watching everything. I think it's Howard Stern that said that. Your fans will watch most of your stuff. Your haters will watch all of it. And whatever you think about Howard Stern, he is right on that point right there. Yes?
This is kind of a boring question, but you have all this different revenue, but it's all for the same thing, kind of. When you go to do your taxes, like, do you have DBAs? Are you an S corp, LLC?
What are taxes?
LLC, and we have accountants that handle all that.
Yeah, and there's things that we've done to protect ourselves too, because we don't. I mean, people can still find our house, but we're not connected to our house, or like, there's things that we do for that. I don't know. I wish I knew. I'd be a better businessman. Yes.
So for the off-road record games last year, was just your wreckers. And
Yeah.
Fun with that. The new off-road games. Is
'Kay.
that because of the YouTube channel?
Yeah. So what's happening there is when we all happen to be building wreckers, and I'm like, we should go out and do a trail ride and do a collaboration video, and then Hefe's like, no. Let's talk to Daryl and see if we can get a YouTube event. So the plan on that was to do a YouTube. It was a YouTuber event. We learned a lot about the record games from like their stuff. There was just so many unknowns. We didn't know that we were going to get 6,000 or 6,500 people, whatever. We didn't know we were going to get that many show up. We also wanted to make sure that it was more of an exhibition of the wreckers and not a competition of the wreckers. And we wanted everybody to enjoy it. And we got so much feedback. Because it was the only event in Sand Hollow that's not an off-roader event. Most of the people that came there weren't off-roaders, had never been off-road. And the feeling on the polls from everybody that came was basically, it was like going to a family reunion that you actually wanted to be at. That was it. So we had all these people that were happy about it. The videos didn't perform very well because the internet got saturated, absolutely saturated with content. And we've kind of realized we're not going to be able to stop that. The internet is going to be saturated with the off-road games before any of the YouTubers get to drop their videos. So we have got to get the value, make it worth the YouTubers' time, because what are the YouTubers doing? They're trying to get content that their audience is willing to trade their time for. So we've got to put the YouTubers in a position where they can at least cover the cost of coming out here, and we want to connect audience with, because we've done some things. Well, once again, accidentally. I wish I was smart enough for this. Really quick, this pertains. So when we did the Golden Nugget, if you're familiar with that, what we did is we got this old vehicle out of the Sierra Nevadas that has been there for 40 years, and we did the recovery on it, and then we started passing it around to other YouTubers for things. We got an email from YouTube, corporate headquarters, top brass. They said, congratulations, you have unlocked a level of YouTube nobody's ever unlocked before. This is the largest collaboration in YouTube history by 100 times, and it's the most productive. That cross collaboration we did was such a bright spot in people staying on the platform and watching videos that YouTube said, we're gonna give these guys an attaboy for what they did. And they gave us a new word, so they called it channel clustering. And what that is instead of me going to another YouTuber and saying, this guy builds really awesome birdhouses, go check out his channel, like, subscribe, and share. And today we're gonna work on a birdhouse together. Dude, all right, go watch his channel. That's typical, and I know I simplified it, but that's kind of how collaborations go. What we did is I made Paul from Fab Rats a character on my channel. I don't have to introduce him anymore. I just have to say, hey, we got Paul here, and 90% of my audience knows who Paul is. And I go on his channel and 90% of his audience knows. Same with Robbie and same with Rory with Trail Mater and Holly with Mischief Maker. And they call that channel clustering. And they're like, we've never seen any YouTubers ever do this. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't think of it either. but it happened. And it grew a whole bunch of channels really fast. And Mr. Beast, there's an interesting thing that Mr. Beast did with a channel called Zealous. Mr. Beast gave Zealous a shout out and did a collaboration with him. And Zealous's next video got like 6 million views or 8 million views, some stupid number. And the one after that got 40,000 views, and the one after that got 6,000 views, and the one after that got, he was actually below his baseline when he was done. So if you think a big YouTuber can shout you out and make your channel, no, there is no way. So we've done the clustering and the collaboration with YouTube channels that haven't been able to pick up the ball and run with it. We've done it with YouTube channels that have been able to pick up the ball and run with it. And I can make, like Mr. Beast, I can make a lot of my audience watch somebody's video once, but I can't make them watch the next video. So you got to remember that if you are interested in YouTube, and you've got to put collaborations in context, and a lot of YouTubers do not have it in context. They think like, man, if only I could do a collaboration with this big channel, then I'll get their viewership. Their viewership will come over and watch, and they won't if you're not offering them something they're willing to trade their time for. So.
One more question.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, we just in general have one more.
Oh, one more question.
What is the lower 48?
The lower, nobody knows. Let me tell you that. Okay, so we do stuff on our channel to start things like this. So I didn't do it on purpose. I just said, because we often go out on the Arizona Strip, and it's one of the most primitive areas in the lower 48. So I would say that. And I'd say, so we're going out, this is the most rugged, wild, this is the Wild West out here. And then none of my crew was really paying attention, and I said, it's the most rugged in the lower 48. And I said, what does that mean? And they just looked at me and I'm like, nobody knows what that means. And then it started this firestorm of that, but it's good, it's engagement. So we've got literally thousands of comments correcting me on what the lower 48 is, or saying, I think you're trolling us. And so we just keep throwing that in now every once in a while. There's a couple things we do with 11%. We're like, that's an 11% improvement. And it just started, so that's something that you do. There's some guys that do it really, really well. Whistle and Diesel is the king of all trolls.
King of trolls.
And he will say, he'll be like, this is the most powerful Duramax they ever made. I don't know, 900 horsepower factory. And, he'll just say stuff as facts that just absolutely aren't. And people will fight with him in the comments. And so all of a sudden he's got 10,000 comments about somebody fighting him on how much horsepower a Duramax actually makes. And it's engagement. So yeah, we do participate in a tiny bit of trolling, but we try to be nice about it. We did it with the Roswell. I took the Roswell landing and did it with this obscure movie about how the radius and the diameter are constant, or the radius is constant, but the diameter is always changing. And I had we went on a job, and a math teacher, she was going to set me absolutely straight that's an impossibility. So I pulled the clip up where it was just quoting a stupid movie. But anyway, yeah, I guess that was the last question. But that is how I got a reserved parking spot at the school today. That's the story.